Hi, everybody. So, this is what I look like without makeup. Yes, the diva does take down low sometimes. Messy hair, don't care. But I'm here tonight to talk to you about my last relationship, my last romantic relationship. And I had alluded to him in another video very recently. And so I just want to tell you about him. So we met in January 2016. We met actually on a very popular dating app. And we started messaging one another back and forth. And eventually we started talking on the phone. We talked for several weeks actually before we met. And once we met, we decided to go to Joe's Crab Shack down in Station Square because neither one of us had ever been there. And we talked probably for about 5 hours nonstop. And it was probably the second best date I had ever been on. The food was excellent, service was excellent, and I felt comfortable enough to sit there and talk to him because we had talked on the phone for so many weeks in advance. So it just came naturally and everything flowed. And that we went on a date on a Friday. By that Monday, he called me and said, "Hey, basically, can we go steady?" And I said, "Sure." Um, by that point in time in my life, I was ready for a serious relationship. And I think he was too. So it helped that we were both on the same page and wanted the same things out of life, which was a forever relationship, um, marriage. We wanted to buy a home together. And even though he has grown children, um, as well as I do, I also have a little one. My daughter is 11. And so we just wanted to become a power couple. He wanted to open his own business. He wanted to start a program for women that were addicted. He wanted to have basically like a three-quarter house for them. And I wanted to start a business where women that were survivors of domestic violence could come for resources. So we talked about all of our hopes and our dreams. And we said that, we would be together and just live a good life. So, probably um, 7 months into the relationship, he proposed. I said yes. And we just enjoyed one another. He spoiled me, he bought me everything I wanted. We went out on a regular basis, and he would come stay with me, I would go stay with him. Our families had met, so things were going along swimmingly. And I had never in my life wanted to settle down with one man and spend the rest of my life with. I had never had that feeling before until I met him. And so that was the fairy tale version. And this is what really happened in the relationship. So, probably 4 months into the relationship, I found out that he was using cocaine. He was snorting it. I begged him to stop. I begged him to go inpatient. I later found out that he had already been inpatient in California the previous year. And I asked him to get a sponsor to go to meetings, NA meetings, and then he promised me he would. I also found out that not only was he using cocaine, he was also selling it. Now, mind you, he was working full time at a major company, a major food company here in Pittsburgh. I worked in social services and had been doing that for 21 years. And when I met him, I was working full time in my field, and I stopped working, and I stopped working in social services, and I started working as a driver. And he was basically the breadwinner of the family, and I was pretty independent and still am. So it took me some getting used to having someone else take care of the finances. So I pleaded, begged with him to go to rehab. Again, he chose not to. And I tried to be supportive of him. But while I was being supportive of him, I was drowning. I was drowning in the fact that here I was dating someone, and here we're engaged and we're supposed to be married and we're supposed to be in a forever relationship, but he's using drugs. I don't use drugs. Um, and it was just foreign to me. I couldn't understand what he got out of it and why he wanted to stay in it. And I wanted to be with a man that had a sound relationship with God, someone that had a good reputation in the community, who was a pillar of his community. And he was none of those things. He was a liar. I found out he was cheating. I found out that he basically lied to me the whole relationship. And I was devastated and I was angry and I was hurt. And August 21st of 2016, he broke up with me. And that devastated me even more. So much so to the point that I tried to take my own life. I took a whole bottle of pills that I'm prescribed. And I wrote letters to my mother, all of my brothers. I have four. I wrote letters to my two children, my son, who's 28, and my daughter, that's 11. And I really wanted to die because I was so heartbroken by the fact that I had put so much stock in this relationship. And then I had to come to grips with I gave so much of myself, and yet it wasn't enough. And here, the person that I was supposed to spend the rest of my life with was a fraud. My relationship was a fraud. I felt like a failure. And I couldn't see myself being without him. As terrible as everything was, we stopped going on dates. We stopped having sex. He stopped giving me money and being supportive. And all of our hopes and dreams were shattered. And I was committed to a mental health hospital for nearly a month as a result of this relationship I chose to be in that was so unhealthy. And I promised myself when I came out of the hospital, I wouldn't go back to him. But I did. And yet I continued to try to salvage the relationship. I tried to put a life preserve around him to keep him from drowning. And I began to drown again too. But God saved me from myself. And as sad as it is, on February 10th of 2017, he suddenly died, 48 years old. blood clot to his lung. So then I was devastated yet again because the man that I loved and wanted to spend my life with was no longer here. So I mourn for the decision that I made to be with a person like that. And I mourn his death. And I still love him. But I will never make a choice like that again to be with anyone remotely similar to that. Now I encourage you to always strive for the best in your life in every aspect. And for women, not to choose the type of man I chose. Thank you for listening.